Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. I'm Ben Brackett, your Soccer Talk co-host. We've shifted back to a back four. Blake Sievers, our right-footed left back, my Soccer Talk co-host and good buddy. Siebes, how are you?
I'm great. What a way to start the day.
I love it. And then we've got a new center back pairing here. We've got Damian Corriere on the left and Cody Waddell here on the right. Welcome, boys.
Yeah, good to see you.
What's up?
What's up? So just watched the 1A final, West Sioux Falcons with a big overtime victory against the Van Meter Bulldogs. Siebes, you picked the Bulldogs. Let's talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, interesting game, wasn't it, boys? Van Meter goes up 1-0. Long ball. So here's
off a set piece, long ball.
Yeah, number 5, the big man. So he is going to kick. I learned at Washington State. He's got to report to school tomorrow.
It's a crazy turnaround.
Yeah, effective though, right? Goes direct, flick on, and then I think number 1 gets on the end of it and scores a goal. And all right, let's go.
If the Titan tactician were here, he would have been super pleased with the goal because number 1 takes the time and has the composure to collect it and then finish it versus for a second, Damian and I thought that he was going to maybe just try to lash at it straight away. I don't think it's a goal in that situation.
Must have been in the contract.
That's right. Well, yeah, that's right.
Take a good first touch.
So, Cody, you've been watching a lot of 1A soccer. This is some of the best you've seen, I'm guessing. I don't know, just talk to me about it a little
absolutely.
bit.
I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of West Sioux, but, man, they played some great soccer. Obviously, they gave up that first goal, but they seemed to keep the pressure on, and especially the last 20 minutes of that second half, just nonstop. And I think the duo up top, number 9 and number 7, it should be Oscar Robles.
Yep, Jonathan Topete.
Yeah, they were very good, and they were on Van Meter's defense all game long, and, they just made some stuff happen. I mean, this is so fun.
Yeah. Hot day today, right, Siebes? Weatherman, give us a little rundown on that.
Yeah.
Quick check.
I watched it up top in the shade underneath the awning, and up there it was 78. But now you get down here in the sun on the field. I just checked the thermometer over there, and it was 88. So the question was there's going to be water breaks this afternoon. I don't know. But no, it's hot. It obviously impacted the game a little bit at the end, Damo.
That was where I was going with it. Yeah. What'd you think? The energy wasn't there towards the end, right?
It was. I'll be sure to keep this up close. I'm bad for that. It was interesting because, I think West Sioux was sitting in a 4-4-2. Their 2 strikers were, for me, a little bit far apart. Really didn't impact the center backs at all. So the Van Meter center backs were quite comfortable to kind of clear a lot of balls out.
You pointed that out at a certain point where both the strikers were kind of out wide and the center backs were unoccupied, just hanging out.
And maybe that was to try to find space in wide channels. But so for me, the center backs were quite free to do what they wanted for Van Meter. But then coincidentally were the ones that had a bit of a brain cramp towards the end of the game in the last seconds.
So we were standing there watching it, and there were maybe just less than 40 seconds on the clock, and it really felt like the game was done and dusted. Number 16 for West Sioux, kind of on top of the box, pokes the ball, and he kind of goes down looking for a foul.
Everybody was looking for a foul.
Yeah, and there was just no reaction from the back four, and the quickest to react was Jonathan Flores Topete. First one to react and dinks one home.
Well,
I don't know about that.
What do you mean? First one to react? He was the only one to react.
Okay. No, I mean, it was a clearance.
The first one to react was the right center back from Van Meter.
Yeah, he went to clear the ball and it went off of him into the goal.
Cleared the ball.
But I think
went off his shin.
I think the point that you were trying to make is the West Sioux player that scored.
Correct.
Recognized, and he said it just in what you'll hear. I don't know in what order this will be posted, but he said it. He recognized there was a cue to press, saw a mistake, and had the energy to try to do that. Yeah.
He had no other choice, right? There was less than 40 seconds, so he had to go, and
it was in the waning moments of the match.
And you had the goalkeeper for it at that point. They were throwing everything at it.
But it's what happens when you put numbers in the box. And I think West Sioux didn't put numbers in the box the first half.
No.
And even in the second half, up until the first 20 minutes, counterattacks went dead because they were attacking with 2 against 6. And so but that urgency kicked in the last 10 minutes. They seemed to find a gear in the last 10 minutes.
Van Meter was surviving. Yeah. I mean, they were knackered. They were dead. They all ran their socks off. as the mates say.
And knackered too, to be fair. So you 2 of them, by the way.
I know.
Well, and talk about the atmosphere though.
Loved it.
West Sioux brought the crowd. Van Meter brought the crowd. West Sioux, quite the drive, and they were here in full force.
Yeah, for those that know
a lot of
MediaCom,
chants.
right? The press box side, which is a home side, I suppose, with the concession stands, I would say 95% full.
Draped in blue, man.
You should have seen, I know one of our listeners had to go to the concession stand, or needed to, I should say, at halftime, or just before halftime, and he was smart because I walked down there and the line was, the whole concourse was full of people trying to grab a snack.
It's well played from our friend of the pod. So we get a little free soccer, which is one of my favorite parts about the game. But, again, teams haven't been playing overtime all year. It's a hot day. I think the fitness was definitely a factor. I think the crowd was also a factor, right? It seemed like the West Sioux crowd was like they were really urging their team on, and multiple times we heard the "Let's Go Falcons" chant.
Yeah.
Si puede.
They were
was great.
An extra player.
I think so. Yeah. I think that made a huge difference.
So one real quick thing on that, the crowd, I love the 1A stuff because you've got more older people that were here, grandparents, community members, than you see at any other level, just because they're so small and tight-knit. I bet the average age here is going to be 25 years older than it will be tonight at the Johnston Valley game.
I wonder if we can collect the data on that one.
That's crazy.
Have you seen how many elderly? That's why they had to play at noon.
Let's talk about the overtime. Again, I think overtime happened, and what was the vibe seemed pretty low, right, Cody?
Yeah, the Van Meter, obviously you give up a goal with 30 seconds left, you're kind of deflated, and I think they had a little bit more offense than they had in the last 20 minutes to start overtime, but West Sioux was just so good, and then, you give those forwards any sort of space, and West Sioux has been taking shots from distance all tournament long, and he just rips this one right underneath the post.
Got to be one of the most unlucky goals I've ever seen in person.
Yeah.
Probably the most unlucky.
Both of them, honestly.
Yeah, so just we'll talk about it. The goal really quick for those. Jonathan gets the ball right, cuts inside, hits the crossbar. Goalkeeper makes a save.
Yeah, tips it off.
Goes off the bar and comes. We were talking about it upstairs. How many balls do you see come back off the bar at that angle? Usually they go over, they come straight out, or they go right down. It came just, I don't know what degree, Damon. Yeah, off his back, off his head.
It's like it was 45 degrees down and went off his back. And
yeah.
The goal.
How do we rate the celebration, Siebes?
Shirt off, I love it. Didn't please some of the officials. They got on the field, but no, it was good.
Yeah.
So let's just finish it up with our picks, right? So I think we were unanimous, other than myself, for Van Meter Bulldogs. I'm the cheese today. I'm standing alone on a few picks. I'm alone on my 4A pick.
You picked St. Albert.
Yeah, but we repicked.
You don't get to repick.
Ask the West Sioux boys. I repicked and they liked it.
reseed?
Everybody got to repick.
That's true,
Everybody
too.
repicked that's what we said
reseed.
last night, and everybody got to repick Johnston except for me, and I stuck with my Valley pick.
I picked West Sioux, so my picks weren't official, but I definitely had that on my bracket earlier.
Cody too, so Siebes was all alone on that then, I suppose.
Yeah.
No, I did have Van Meter. I did say Van Meter. I didn't think that they were going to lose.
I was letting you out there, Cody.
I know. I got to be honest. I thought Van Meter had it in the bag, but West Sioux was impressive.
Well, sets up for a great day. It's
sure
going to be
does.
tough to beat that game.
Well,
For a neutral's perspective.
Yeah.
right on. Well, we're about to watch some 2A soccer. We got Sioux City Bishop Heelan against Gilbert in the 2A matchup. Gilbert won 2-0 earlier in the year, so could be up for an interesting match. Congrats again to the West Sioux Falcons and their coaching staff and the players.
Fans.
And the fans especially, right? So, thanks,
Denise,
guys.
give her a shout out.
Oh, yeah,
man.
we should give Denise a quick shout out. Denise sorting the group out with tickets. Denise, thanks for all your help. I don't know. Cheers. We'll see you now at the next one. And we're back after the 2A final. It was an exciting one, to say the least. We had the Gilbert Tigers looking to avenge their loss from last year's final. It was their third final in 3 years. They won it a couple years ago as well. And they were taking on the Bishop Heelan Crusaders from Sioux City. Also a kind of a powerhouse. They went 17-2-0 this year. And we watched them the other day, and they were really good.
Very good.
They won 7-0 in their semifinal.
I was really impressed today by them. I know we get some flack from the feedback, which now I'm going to say is absolutely fair, because you want to talk about individual players, super crafty, super technical, very, very enjoyable to watch. So I was very impressed. Like,
and big
well
credit
done.
to the boys as well. Went down 2-0 and in the first 10 minutes, so first 5, last 5. But I was still super impressed by the comeback. It really just shows that grit, that determination, and it shows how bad they wanted it. And to come back after going down like that is not easy, right?
Well, and especially against a Gilbert team that had given up 3 goals all year, I think, something like that. I mean, that's very impressive.
Let's start with those first couple goals, Siebes.
Yeah, I mean, you got
the big boy Connor Rash,
right? Like, there's a little cool story, Ben, right? He's number 45.
Yeah,
makes no sense. And what's the story?
Apparently, it's the largest jersey that they have, and he was sort of joking that the other one was not the correct size. Big personality out of him. He was kind of the man of the match, man of the moment. Scored a hat trick, and Ronaldo Sui celebration into the fans. I think he's probably pretty high in life right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, Bishop Heelan, like Newberg as a winger, like super dynamic, super good number 24. And then obviously you got Andres Gonzalez and Sergio up top for them. Again, like we were watching the game. I was watching like the technical ability. They're rolling it, feint, step over, like super dangerous. And I mean, I know now why they scored so many goals this year, because holy cow.
Yeah, they play really good team soccer too. I love the way that they just use the space that they have.
Well, unfortunately, the thing that is going to be the main talking point happened in the second half. It's 2-2 at halftime. It seemed like a pretty even back and forth. I guess, when was the penalty for Sioux City Bishop Heelan? Because they earned a penalty earlier in the game. Missed it. Was saved.
Good save.
Great save from the keeper, Jerkins.
Hard, strong hand. That was with 10 minutes to go in the first half.
Yeah,
approximately.
Ish. Yeah.
And shout out to
that.
So it's is it Ty Jerkins?
Tyler
Jerkins, potentially the best hair of the tournament, is
so
dyed
far,
red,
sure.
and then like it's had some like black stripes in it. I assume that's like a tiger. That one, I'm assuming Gilbert Tigers. Now there is a player for the Knoxville Panthers that confusingly has leopard spots.
Has cheetah spots. Yeah. Maybe they don't know their cats down in Knoxville.
That's all right.
However, his hair is still pretty fly. So anyway, Bishop Heelan misses the penalty. Second half wears on, and we're getting down in that last 10 minutes of the game. And unfortunately, the game was decided by the call by the referee for a penalty. Let's get your takes on it. I know that you asked the boys about it, see what they thought. They wisely all agreed with the referee.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it was a pen. I mean, I think it was.
Let's talk through it real quick. Actually,
okay.
Sorry, no, you're right. I'm just trying to let's give them a little visual, right? So it's guys in. Basically, he's in on goal, right? Sliding tackle from the side. It looks. He definitely gets the ball. Clean or not, gets the ball, and then there's a little follow through. We've got all sorts of people saying not a penalty, yes a penalty. Sorry, now you can continue.
It looked like a great tackle. I mean, he got all the ball and then it tripped over him afterwards. I mean, I didn't see if there was like a leg raise or anything, so maybe that had something to do with it, but it looked like a pretty clean tackle from where I was.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think what they're going to say is technically because his second leg was in the air and made contact with his knee. Granted, the ball is 2 yards away. He's already won it. But I don't know. I mean, so maybe technically it's supposed to be, but I don't think it.
In that moment,
correct.
That's a tough pen.
And that's the, for the viewer, neutral. It's really tough to see that just because you're like, oh man, it's really kind of decided the game. And then, interestingly though, the Gilbert player there, Logan, I don't recall his last name, but he didn't feel that the first penalty that was called against them was as stonewall as. I mean, again, I didn't see it, so.
But we talk about penalties, right, Ben?
Sometimes they come in pairs. Almost always, for sure.
So, which there you go. Everybody's got one, and.
Yeah, well, and when you're on, when you've given or you've gotten one, you always have to be extra careful not to give one up. So
good crowd again. I mean, just really
awesome
quick. We talked a little about 1A. Like the whole side was full. Obviously, Gilbert's a little closer, but they brought
Gilbert's student section was on it.
Yes,
they were loud.
They've always
the
been
tank
right.
Tops, the painted shirts. I loved it.
Yeah, and then, I mean, Bishop Heelan a little further away, but again, the Sioux City, like the 1A boys, West Sioux brought it, now the Bishop Heelan brought it. So again, very well done by both supporter sections.
I don't want to jinx it, but I'm 2 for 2 on my predictions from yesterday.
Well, anyways, I didn't know if that 2A game could top the 1A game.
You don't think so?
But I don't know. I mean, it was right up there. It's two great games.
You think
to
it
start
just
the
keeps
day.
building then?
Yeah.
And we go 3A and then 4A is just
A lot of pressure now.
A lot of pressure.
A
lot of pressure.
All right, well, let's get to it. Should be a good one. We've got Urbandale, the Jayhawks, back to the state tournament for the first time since 2002, I believe. They're taking on
Iowa City Liberty. Lightning, Matt Harding, white boots.
We got to get a little shot with the Jayhawk here. Check this guy out.
Oh, come on, Jayhawk. What's the Jayhawk's name?
What's the Jayhawk's name?
Jay?
Jay the Jayhawk.
His last name is Hawk. His first name is Jay.
All right, good luck to the Jayhawks tonight. Good luck to the Iowa City Lightning. You want the mic?
Good stuff. That's great stuff. That's very well done.
Oh, that is absolute class. This great shout out for watching it on YouTube. Please check us out. Follow, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Thanks again to Cody Waddell and our special guest, the Jayhawk. All right, we're here after the 3A final where the Urbandale Jayhawks have survived 1-0 against Iowa City Liberty Lightning. Jayhawks with their first state title since 2002, and the boys are buzzing. I don't know if you can hear them next to us, but they're very excited, and it's a fun game.
Yeah, I mean, just you can still feel the atmosphere, right? So both fans actually brought it. The thing I've loved about these 3A games so far is the fans separate; they go side to side. So Urbandale's fans have been on the far side 2 games in a row. The student section was cheering loud
really good,
crowd
yeah.
tonight. It was pretty awesome. And at the end of the night, at the end of the game, they all sprinted over to the fans and they were jumping up, high-fiving, and it was super loud and there was a ton of energy. So pretty cool end to the 3A final.
I mean, they've definitely have the biggest student section all week, boys and girls, that we've seen by far.
By far, and that's awesome to see, right? We need more. I feel like that's something that's missing in high school soccer is like the student athlete support, or the student support for the athletes. I mean, you go to like a basketball game or a football game. I think usually it's a little bit more, there's a little more attended or presence there. So to see the student section turn out for Urbandale was awesome.
Yeah, let's just jump into it. So we talked to the Iowa City Liberty Lightning coach yesterday, Matt Harding, and he said that a wise man once said, first 5, last 5. I think that's one of the things we talk about almost like too often, but it's more and more, it becomes more and more obvious how important it is because we see these games won and lost in those first 5 and last 5 over and over.
I mean, absolutely. Tonight, this afternoon, however you want to call this, was the result of that, right? First 3 minutes in.
Talks to the goal.
6 minutes in, whatever it is. Number 3 for Urbandale.
Bryson Lumley.
Yeah.
Sophomore.
Good little player. Cuts in, like clinical finish. Far post, curls around the goalkeeper. And unfortunately, for Liberty and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a lot of soccer in between, but that was the goal that won it.
But I would say 2 really organized teams, well-coached teams, right? And so it was a defensive battle. And so there weren't a ton of opportunities in the game. So for Lumley to get that one early and put it home was a huge advantage Urbandale early on. And towards the end of the game, it did feel like Liberty was threatening a little bit. That's just natural. You're going to have to survive those last 10 or 15 minutes as the crowd gets into it and the stakes kind of rise at the end of the game. But there really weren't any real chances, I don't think, that they had to sort of spoil. And so they just stayed really organized and really solid. It's a really complete, I think, week for Urbandale, just in terms of how they stayed organized to get themselves through as the champions.
Liberty is going to be kicking themselves, like I said, coming out of the gate, and obviously not the way you want to start. And they were, first half, they just were not, didn't seem like they were up for it. They just weren't very good. And I think Matt,
I listened to halftime.
He would admit it, right?
I listened to the halftime interview you did with him, Blake, and it was frosty. He was not pleased.
I mean, fair. I wouldn't be either, right? Like the biggest game of the year. You guys, the boys have worked hard. They got to where they want to be, and then, right? I mean, it just happens. Unfortunately, it happens in big moments. But you just come out a little flat, and the other team comes out a little bit with more energy, and all of a sudden, you're digging out of a stinking hole for the next 80 minutes, 85 minutes.
But I mean, think about these games, not just this one. Johnston scores in the first 37 seconds. Valley scores in the first minute, right? In the second game.
Today,
Van Meter gives away a goal, what, in the last minute?
less than minute.
Less than minute.
First 10
And
minutes.
gives up in OT, gives up a goal early.
Right.
So-
But then look at Gilbert goes up 2-0 over Bishop Heelan in the first 10 minutes.
So now all of a sudden we've got this goal in the first 3 minutes of the game, which is the difference. So, I mean, first 5, last 5, I mean, it's totally true, right? It's making the difference in these games, which is insane because to me, I mean, I get last 5. First 5 is just that just can't happen. Last 5, you're tired, blah blah blah. You have a little letdown.
Sure.
First 5 is the shocker.
We talk a little bit about, right, quote, playing pretty soccer. Dude, just knock the ball. Don't concede and get past that first 5-6 minutes, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, you got to settle into it.
Yeah.
I remember playing in big games, early on in my, at that age, like this high school age, and being nervous. I don't know if you guys remember being nervous, but I had a good friend of the pod too. See, old Matty Whelan told me, hey, first time you get the ball, just hoof it. I don't care it doesn't matter where you are, just get rid of it, get the butterflies out. And I remember you're just all alone in the back, and you just take a touch out of your feet and go, just hoof it and go, okay, I feel better. And I mean that's kind of stuff you got to do to get settled into the game.
Yeah, good little work by the Urbandale backline, the big goalkeeper as well. He was good. I thought, but again, like you said, Matt, I think the best way is just not just workmanlike, effective, and Mullins has them disciplined, and they had a plan.
Yep.
When they listened to him, it went perfectly.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the greatest thing for Urbandale too is they're going to celebrate tonight, but in the discussion now is going to be, look how many guys are returning.
That's what I was just about to say to you, Matt. Was let's talk about that Urbandale Jayhawks team and the youth, right? Who are the players that you liked? You had a nice little list.
We've got the goal scorer that gets the game winner, Lumley. He got the game winner tonight. That's a sophomore, right? He played really well last night. Then we've got that Jeff Naniza, who was the freshman.
And then Chris Boina.
And
I like him
as well. Who's number 14? We just interviewed him. I think he's number 14, right?
Yep.
Yeah. They've got another guy too.
Well, you see, I'm just looking at whoever's program this is circle number 9 too. Messi.
Trojo is good. Messi's
something.
These are the freshmen.
Yeah, also and again, that was that's a strong young team.
Right. And you heard him too say, I mean, they got knocked down, small school in 4A, now in 3A. The reality is, if they got to a sub-state final in their last game in 4A, and so now they're in 3A, and they look like they could dominate here for the next couple of years, based on what we've seen tonight. So look out for Urbandale.
Right on. Good season for both teams. Great season from the Jayhawks.
I wore my white Adidas as well for Harding. I was hoping that was my little good luck charm, Matt, because I wanted to be like.
Well, Harding will have him back. You know
he will,
that, right?
yeah.
Well,
good coach.
I was going to say that we got a little bit of a gruff from the Ames boys last night because Johnston knocked them off, and we only talked about Johnston, and so let's not forget about the performance of Liberty, and not only that, but they've put together 3 really good seasons in a row. Obviously we talked about this last night, winners in 2023, hard done by the red card rule last year, 2024. Just for the record, again, we got to get rid of that red card rule.
Everybody agrees on that.
Let's get rid of it. So for me, they're back for a 3rd time in a row, basically, and just couldn't quite get it done. So I know they'll go back to the drawing board. But what a good effort. To get to the final is very difficult, so it'll be a tough ride home for those boys, but hopefully they've got the right attitude about it and they can bounce back.
Yeah, it's easy for us to say, but be proud of that, boys, because, again, it's tough.
Yep.
Well, while we're thinking about it, and since we're going to transition here, we've got behind us the Johnston Dragons warming up here, and also the Valley Tigers here for the 4A final. But let's a quick talk about those 2 teams last night, especially the Ames Little Cyclones, Matt. We probably didn't give them enough love last night for a really good season, right? And I think you were going to say a couple other things, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the first thing that old Damo came up to me and said. He's like, hey, thanks for talking all about Johnston, right? So, but it is true. We forget about the runner-up sometimes and talk about the performances. I mean, if you think about Ames, Iowa, right? When you look at the makeup of these bigger schools who have no sort of geographic limitations, I'm talking about the Waukee Northwest, I'm talking about the Johnstons, I'm talking about the Ankeneys, the Centennials and stuff like that, even though they're splitting. And then you take a school that is drawing from a smaller population base that doesn't have the soccer that the Metro has all year round. And you get a group of kids who come together and have a culture and a chemistry to get them to a semifinal. But not only that, knock off teams like Valley, knock off teams like Johnston in the preseason, and then put together a performance where they're really good and just almost don't get there. It does deserve mentioning. And so we didn't mention you guys last night, but obviously, but you had a great season, so congrats on that. And congrats to the coaching staff too. I know those guys have been working with that group for a long time, and so to see those guys out was tough for them. And so we're sorry for not mentioning you guys on the pod last night. Hopefully you're watching tonight. If you don't watch, then, you know.
Well, they could have just gone in a shell and hidden, right? Down 2-0, just disappeared. It could have been 3-4-5, fought back, get the equalizer, get the one back, and then
make it a game.
Chase. Yeah, I mean they were chasing a second and made it good.
Especially when you get scored on early. The same goes for Liberty tonight, right? They get scored on early. The real fear when you get scored on in the first 3 minutes is that the next one comes and the next one comes. So Liberty did well to sort of regroup and keep themselves in the game after going down 1-0 early, I think.
That's why you give us feedback, folks.
That's right.
Seriously, keep them coming. Keep it coming.
And just so that we don't miss the obvious next feedback we're going to get. Also, Ankeny, great season. The Hawks, of course, led by Landon Benge, but then also young coach and Trevor Fuccio and his staff. We were teasing them afterward that they might be the youngest staff in the state. You got Jake Potratz, you got Mason. It's Mason Madden, I think. Mason, he's going to kill me. I just can't come up with the last name. Mason with an M. Anyway,
Evan Reja as
that
well.
Too? Okay, yeah. So like all those boys are in their 20s, and they're coaching guys that are maybe 10 years younger than them, and they're getting them to a state semifinal, and a good little group.
Right, and I mean it's like we were standing down here last night, and so obviously, Ames warmed up here, so they came off here first too because they were closer here. And so you see them for the first time. When those guys walk up to you, what are you supposed to say? Like, hey, how you doing? That's not really a good, necessarily greeting at that point. So it is it's just tough. You could see the emotion in it from all those guys and all the losers because you see what it means to people and you see how hard, and you know how hard people work to get here. So
yeah, a couple other shout outs for the Ankeny boys. We always talk about Benge, but there's that Dylan Gloviak, center back, who was quite good. Cal Wahlberg's a junior, pretty good player. Ty Newhard, right? So, you mentioned a few juniors there. It sounds like they'll probably be pretty strong next year as well, and that's what makes it so fun. Let's get back to.
Let's get back to. We've gone 3A, 4A pod.
That's right. So we will be back here in a couple hours, under the lights, and we'll be talking Valley Johnston. But until then, congrats to the Jayhawks, and we'll see you soon. Okay, we're here. It's been a long week, but we just finished the 4A boys final here at MediaCom Stadium on the Drake University campus here in Des Moines. It was probably the most lopsided result of the day. Valley Tigers have run out 3-0 victors for their 7th state championship over the Johnston Dragons, who were looking for the three-peat. We'll start introducing quick our left back and Johnston Dragon, Blake Siebers. Siebes, condolences.
Oh yeah, not most lopsided. It was probably lopsided. It was definitely the most lopsided. There's no unfortunate way to say it.
Fair enough. Then we've got Matt Sahag, the Titan tactician, and Weston McPhee here playing at center back. And I'm, again, Ben Brackett. I'm going to play right back, and I think I'll maybe tuck into center midfield like I play for Mikel Arteta here shortly. So, Siebes, first 5, last 5. We come back to it again. I hate to do it, but
common theme this year, isn't it, boys?
I think it was actually 6 minutes, but it's still that it's the same concept applies. And the thing about it is Johnston's always kind of hot out of the gate.
Well, sorry, go ahead. I'll interrupt you because first 10 seconds of the game, crunching tackle in midfield
from Valley,
counterattack. Really good chance on goal, and we looked up at the clock, and we were 25 seconds in. So it was like right off the initial whistle that they were pressing Johnston in it. And looking back on things, I think it just kind of set the tone.
I think it was interesting. The Tigers, last night we talked to them, they were pretty down, and they were pretty concerned about the players they were going to be missing tonight. I talked to Aziz before the game, the Valley Tigers head coach, and Aziz was, in typical Aziz fashion, was most concerned about that, not necessarily all the other guys. But then It seems like a bunch of guys stepped up tonight. Had some good leadership out of a few different fellas. You had Colton Horn, Britton Morrow, and then the goalkeeper Alex Poitin was pretty stellar, right?
I mean, how is that boy not
He's
all
a junior.
tournament team captain?
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah, fair enough.
Stood on his head.
Yeah, he was great. And we've talked about it, right? Great dealing, like early on, he was balls in the box. He was dealing with them really well, commanded his box, and his distribution was super, like it was quick. He knew when to throw, he knew when to kick.
Yeah, I mean, did any of the Valley players score more than one goal tonight?
No.
So, I mean, for me, I think that's a
Well,
big
Pablo
time.
Mendez does assist the first and score the second.
Yeah,
So
and I get Pablo Mendez is a good player, but I think when you look at tournament performances, he stood out tonight, and it's in the final. And I get it was 3-0, but there were moments in that game when it was still 1-0, and it could have equalized, where it was 2-0, and Johnson could have been back in the game, and he's making big saves. And so, I mean, I think he's a snub for the captain of the alternative team. So whoever's on the committee, I don't know if we know anyone. Do we know some people on that committee?
we do, but they will say, "Yeah, guys, jump back on it," and like that's not like it's time consuming. So,
Weston, talk about the goalkeeping stuff real quick as our goalkeeper
Yeah.
expert.
His confidence grew throughout the whole game. Right away, the first action he had, ball in the air, in the box, he jumps, catches it at highest point like he should, knee up to protect himself. He started the game off just like the whole rest of the team did. There was nothing but confidence that the team had in him, and that showed throughout the whole team that they were not worried at all when a ball was in their defensive third.
So Johnson, on the other hand, they were also missing a player, right? And we thought that was going to be an interesting, I don't know, just an interesting wrinkle to it, right? Siebes, Kale Leach massively missed.
absolutely. I mean, we probably got to mention it as well because he warmed up kind of on his own a little bit, had the shinnies on, cleats on, uniform on. I'd be curious to know, like, if that was mind games by Jimbo or what they were doing there, or just wanted him to experience it all, which could be
I
true
imagine
too.
that's probably part of it.
But yeah, like you saw, again, I thought he was the key to the Drags, and I think that just this performance tonight would make my point more stronger.
Coach,
Stronger.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, just one of the, whenever you get a final, we've watched big games on TV where the star player is missing, and there's always just something missing from the big game, whatever type of big event it is. And so tonight felt a little bit like that because last night we're missing Valley players because of the red cards and an injury, and then we're missing a Johnson player. So obviously that's just sports, and that's how it goes, and you end up playing like that. But there was an element tonight that felt like there was a lot missing because players were unavailable. That's not to take anything away from Valley's victory because
Obviously, they're in the same
they
boat.
won it handily, exactly. But there was just that element to the game, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Little environment. Let's go to, again, I love talking about this because, Ben, you came back a little bit. You ran, right?
Dealt with the dog.
Yeah.
Missed the
came back.
Jayhawks a little bit, and it was crazy when I got back here.
But you had to park
I had to walk
outside
like
of
3 blocks away.
West End, yeah. And so, like, I thought it was pretty cool, right? 3A Urbandale coming in town, brought the crowd we talked about earlier. Liberty brought people as well, and then you came for this game, and like it was a massive crowd.
Yeah, it was probably at least comparable, whether it, close to the Urbandale crowd as well. So
I mean, this whole press box side was completely full. Kids were sitting on the grass. People were sitting across, not a lot, but
Two great student sections too. Obviously, we heard Valley quite a bit more, just because they were winning the game. But when that third goal went in, that student section erupted, right? And the players went right to them. It's pretty cool.
When Johnson just absolutely escaped as quick as they could, which was disappointing a little bit. I thought, like, stick around. Yeah, you got humbled a little bit, but you won the last two. Oh, the Johnson side of the bleachers?
Oh, the fans.
Oh, yeah, they were leaving early.
They absolutely ran as fast as they could out of here, which is disappointing. But, well, again, overall, the first 80 minutes was people showed up.
You know what? Before we move on, we were talking earlier about making sure we give credit where credit's due to the runners-up. Johnson, great season. And interesting, right? Like they started out kind of slow, a little up and down, right? They had some losses you might not have expected, and then some really big wins over tough opponents. And it seemed like they were cooking when it was state tournament time. Other players, right? You have Kyron Pope, who was on the all-tournament team. Sieves, more of these.
McKnight was in there.
Yep.
Caden Wynn was in there.
Yep.
What year is who got hurt last night?
Caden
Leach is
Leach,
a junior.
He's a junior, so
Yep.
he comes back.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so Johnson's going to be good again. I mean, it's not like they're going to.
Right. The thing I was going to mention though is you've got to think about for the Johnston seniors who obviously it's not the way it's not the way they wanted to go out because it's second. But when you look at sort of the body of work they've put together over the last 4 years, it's pretty impressive, right?
Really
the
is.
most impressive in 4A.
Yeah.
100%.
Two state titles and
two state titles and a runner-up finish. They will remember their high school soccer experience for the rest of their lives, and they look back and they'll always just feel a little bit obviously hard done by tonight. But what a career for those guys! So congrats to those guys for a great career. And then also, like you said, I mean, it's not just about this season. I think it's about what they've done for the last several years, which is very, very impressive. Not every night's going to be your night, and tonight certainly wasn't theirs.
No.
But impressed nonetheless from all of those guys.
Valley. I'll give it to them. Like very, very well done, Tigers, because again they haven't been at the top for a long time now, and we kept thinking, they're going to drop one, and they just kept rolling. And like, you want to talk about an exclamation point on a season?
So
very well done.
Talking about exclamation point, I mean, I wonder, Aziz has been around for how long now? What, 30 some odd years?
I think it's like 35 odd years, something like that.
I mean, he's got some pretty big milestones this year, right? He's got a 600 win.
Massive.
And now, is this his sixth title? I heard it's been 6 titles altogether.
I think it's 7 now. I think that was 7.
They just said.
Okay, maybe you're right.
Well, I don't know. They announced it 6.
It was over 600.
Another title.
Yeah. Well, regardless, he's done quite well.
Yeah.
I think the only other coach in the state of Iowa that has surpassed him as far as titles goes is Brad Stiles over there at Iowa City West, and ironically enough, that's one of Aziz's former players. So,
what's he going to do? Here's the question, right? You're alluding to, Matt. Is Aziz so
it's a
far
great
going to
question.
retire?
Does he go out on top, or does he have 10 years left in him? I don't know.
Well, I can tell you from conversations I've had with him earlier this year, he was pretty confident that he had another 5-ish years in the tank. And he also just got his teaching certificate, and he started teaching social studies in West Des Moines Public Schools. So
at this rate, he might have 10 by the time he's done.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. But to me, like, going out on top is a really good way to go. I don't want him to go, but man, if I was in his position, I'd be thinking about it, right? Wouldn't you?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, for me, I would be like, why not go again next year?
That's true. And Aziz is obviously competitive. He's been winning a long time, so you're probably right. He's probably more likely to just wait
Don't
it
worry,
out till
Chris,
his next
we're
win.
good. Let's give some shout outs and thank you though. So
yeah,
because there's a massive group of people on the Kick It Forward side that don't get credit enough, don't get seen enough. Evan Killstrom Creative.
Check out his video work. He's running all the stuff behind the scenes for us.
Uncle T.
It's a ton of work too.
Matt,
going all week.
Give a shout out to Uncle T. His
Yeah.
first last name. Go ahead.
Absolutely, Uncle T. Sathanath.
We love Uncle T. He's the man.
His
And
first name starts with a K.
Then we had Seabass Garcia helping us this year as well, and Dan Menon.
Yeah.
So just a
Cody Waddell, Dan Rothert,
That's
Weston
right.
McPhee.
Did Damo make an appearance? He did not.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
think
Damo
so.
did. Yeah, Damo's
Okay.
been on the pod plenty of times. Yeah, so it's always fun to get all these guys together, and it's kind of becoming a little bit of a squad. I think the first few years it was we were kind of on our own, but now it's growing. We love it.
Charlie Bales was in that mix.
That's right.
Don't forget about Peps, our sponsor. Gave some pizzas this week as well.
Yeah, and then maybe we should also just thank the Iowa High School Athletic Association, Chris
Todd Tharp just walked behind
I was
us.
gonna say
Thank you
Chris
to him.
Cuellar, Todd Tharp, and Chad Ellsbury. They hooked us up with tickets so we could get people into the game,
Which was awesome, dude.
Super awesome.
We had so many people that were thrilled about that. We should talk about West Sioux, by the way.
Let's talk
too.
about West Sioux real
Just
quick by the end of the day. They were awesome, and we were able to get almost they had a ton of people here, and we were able to get a ton of those people in as a result of Iowa High School.
But then you got the message, talk a little bit of what happened when they got home.
Yeah, so I got the message here just recently. They got a fire truck and ambulance escort into town upon their arrival, and they had the full pep rally in the gym, and everybody came to. It just looked really cool, and I think that's what it's all about this weekend, right? It's just celebrating high school athletics and all the hard work that these kids, these student athletes, and their coaching staff, and then you think about the parents that are making sure that everybody gets where they need to go, and they're coming to all the games, and so
more than 4 hours away they drove to. Multiple days.
Yep.
Yeah.
So super cool, great week, guys. We'll sign off. Blake Sievers, Johnson Dragon. I'm sorry about tonight.
That's right. You went 2 out of the last 3. You're good.
Matt Sayeg, the Titan Tactician. Weston
Wrong again,
McKee.
by the way.
Yeah. Let's just quick. Everybody picked
this
Johnson.
This is the deal, right? This is like.
I think I went 4 for 4 today. So, well, not 4 for 4. Sorry, you're right. You keep getting me upset about that. My repick got me 4 out of 4. I did
get some creative. Evan will put out a post here in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
with
I had
an
Urbandale
update
from
to
the
be
start.
like-
I had Gilbert from the start.
Who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And we might do a little pool next year. We've been talking about that. People have been talking. I like it.
Well, super fun. Thanks, guys, for all your work this week. And thanks for following us and supporting us. Please subscribe, like, do all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next year, if not sooner.